Good morning, everybody, to this lovely Monday, June the 20th, and welcome to the United Counties of Stormont and Dundas regular council meeting. I'll please call the meeting to order by resolution. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor MacDonald, seconded by Councillor Warden, that the meeting of the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry be hereby called to order.
All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature thereof? Seeing none, the adoption of the minutes. Madam Clerk, please. Okay, let's do the agenda first.
It's moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Wirt, that Council approve the agenda.
All in favor of the motion? Okay, sorry. Councillor Jaworski, did you want to add something to the agenda?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm not having done this before, so I'm not sure what the right language is, but there was an item in the consent agenda that I was hoping we could speak to, the municipality resolution regarding community school water section.
Very good. So you'll pull that out of the consent agenda, and we'll put that under miscellaneous business number 14, and you can speak to it then, Councillor Jaworski. Okay, are there any other additions to the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you very much. And now, the adoption of the minutes.
Moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor MacDonald, that the minutes of the meeting, including the in-camera minutes of the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry, held May 16th, 2022, be adopted as circulated.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Very good. Carried. Thank you. Our first delegation this morning is for the 2021 financial statements with Ian Murphy. Thank you for attending, Ian. Please have a seat and, pardon me, go ahead. Excuse me.
Good morning, everyone. I'll go through the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2021. As part of our audit, there are a couple key items that we have to report to management and to council as results of our audit. So we can confirm that we didn't come across any instances of identified or suspected fraud, non-compliance with laws, regulations, or any issues. And there was no matters arising during the audit that we feel that we need to bring to your attention. So I'll go through a brief highlight on these financial statements. And if you have any questions, please feel free either to interrupt or wait till the end. On the first page of the financial statements, you'll see the administration's responsibility for the financial statements. So this outlines that management is responsible for the preparation of these financial statements. The next two pages is our independent auditor's report, which outlines management's responsibility as well as our responsibility on issuing an opinion on these financial statements. So the first two paragraphs outline the financial position, which says that, in our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the consolidated financial position of the counties as at December 31st, 2021, the results of its consolidated operations, changes in net financial assets, and consolidated cash flows for the year that ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. Okay, so as councillors, that is the opinion that you're looking for. It's a clean audit opinion. So a brief highlight on the financial statements. This is page 1 of the financial statements, or the statement of financial position, giving the snapshot of assets and liabilities on December 31st. So you'll notice total cash of just under 30 million and total financial assets of 29,850,000. Total non-financial assets, which the majority is your tangible capital assets, of 129 million, giving a total accumulated surplus of 159 million, So this is under PSAB reporting. So we can go to page 7, which will give you a breakdown of that 159 million, and it's broken down into 3 main categories: surpluses and deficits at the top. So this is your operating surpluses for the main operations, which is 0, as that gets closed out to the reserves every year. The Library and Police Services Board, which is the accumulation over the last number of years of any surpluses and deficits, sitting at 440,273. An unfunded liability being the future employment benefits for $14,000, giving you total surpluses of just around 700,000. The middle section is the reserves, so specific amounts that have been set aside by council. These total just over 31 million for the year. And then the following, the last category is the invested in tangible capital assets, so all the investments in infrastructure and equipment that you have made over the number of years, less the accumulated amortization or the write-off to market value based on accounting principles of 127 million, giving you the 158 million total accumulated surplus for PSAB reporting purposes. Now we'll jump back to page 2 of the financial statements, which is the statement of financial activities. So this outlines the total revenue and expenses for the year. In 2021, in the middle column, you'll notice these are the actuals, the budget in the first column. So the county's brought in revenue of just over 62.7 million, had expenses of just over 54 million, and some other revenue related to capital projects of 3.6 million, giving you a total surplus of 12,161,657. So as this is based on the PSAB reporting, I'll again get you to flip to page 17, which then reconciles our surplus for accounting purposes to the surplus that you budget for on an annual basis. So this adjusts any reserve transfers, tangible capital asset adjustments, principal payments on municipal debt, and it goes down. So you'll see the total operating surplus for the year of 1.3 million, which is then broken down into 3 further categories, being the library surplus of 233, the police service board of 95, and then the general surplus of 975,000 for the year. Okay. And so that was kind of a brief, quick overview of the financial statements. So I won't go and bore you in the details of all the other notes and disclosures that are included, but I'll pass it over back.
Thank you very much, Ian. And questions, Councillor Wirt.
Through you, Madam Chair, and good morning, Ian, and another great report. Just to clarify, the surpluses pertaining to, as example, the police board, there's 90-some grand in there. Does that come back to the general ledger, or does that stay with that committee?
It stays with the police service board, so it gets included in that accumulated police service board surplus.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Jaworski, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Madam Warden. Thank you, Ian, for your report. And I don't know if maybe it's just the nature of the beast, but when we get these presentations for the township, there's a little bit more editorial content, I guess. So, and whereas this one, there's not very much. So maybe I'll repeat a question I've asked in the past at the township. Like, if there was one thing, like one comment you think we need to do differently or better or change, is there something you can provide some sort of insight on that you would make as a recommendation or suggestion?
Well, there's always, I guess, areas to improve on, but from a financial audit standpoint, the counties is a very, I'd say, a very well-run ship. So there's not a concern that I would have in just about any area. You don't have significant receivables. There's no debt on the books. So my recommendation, just continue as is. Everything looks good.
That's a glowing report. Any other questions or comments? Well, you're getting off easy. Okay, well, if there's nothing else. Okay, yes, we do have to pass a resolution. So please, Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Laundrie, seconded by Councillor Armstrong, that Council receive the 2021 financial statements for the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry as presented by MMP LLP Chartered Professional Accountants.
Okay, any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, and well done, Rebecca. Thank you very much. Okay, 5.2, there will be an annual staff awards ceremony at 11:30, so we'll break at 11:30. We'll have the staff ceremony, then we will have a lunch down in the courtyard, and if there's still business after that, then we will reconvene after the barbecue. But if we're quick, maybe we can get through everything by 11:30. Hint, hint. Okay, so on to action requests, corporate services, the approval of the August intake of Regional Incentive Program. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor MacDonald, seconded by Councillor Warden, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry approve funding under the Stay, Discover, Grow Regional Incentives Program in the total amount of $70,294 for the following 5 projects. 1. Winchester Curling Club, Township in North Dundas, $9,580.50. 2. A Scottish Cottage, Township in North Glengarry, $10,000. 3. The Atlantic Pub, Eatery and Hotel, Township in North Glengarry, $19,497.50. 4. Stonehouse Vineyard, Township in North Glengarry, $27,268. 5. Victoria Street Studios, Township in North Stormont, $3,948.
Thank you very much. Tim, will you speak to that?
Yeah, Tara is not here today, but thank you very much, Madam Warden. And I know I'm not going to be too long because there's not only you, but there's several members of council on this committee. So if you go through the report, it's very comprehensive in terms of what the approved projects were, the dollars amount, as well as the rationale that the committee and the process that the committee went through. So if there's any specific questions council has, any member of council has on any of those, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I'll turn it back to you, Madam Warden.
Okay, Councillor Warden, then Councillor Landry, please.
Through you, Madam Warden. I believe this was the April intake, not the August intake. I think there was just a typo. Yeah, okay. And yeah, the committee sat and we wholeheartedly supported all these projects, and I'm hoping council will get behind it as well.
Thank you, Councillor Warden. Councillor Landry.
Through you, Madam Chair. So just, it's in the report, but I'd just like to hear it. So there will be a third intake that will be put up, I think, with the end of August. What's the amount that we are, because it seems like there's some that came back from a previous unused, so I'll let you maybe clarify that, Mr.
Through you, Madam Warden. Yeah, thanks for the question. As Councillor Warden mentioned, it'll be in August. There'll be a third intake, and there's a considerable amount of money left to, I think it's around 200,000, and that includes this year's plus what was carried forward for some council projects. So I know Tara and the staff are out there, and your local staff as well, out there meeting with people and talking about the program to make sure that we get good applications come in to get the money out the door. So, yep, it'll be August, and I think I saw an ad in the Glengarry News last week, so it's out there.
Yeah, the applications were, they were all excellent. I thought I sat in on that particular round, and so it'll be good to have another round, get these dollars spent. Are there any other questions or comments? Councillor McGillis.
Thank you. Are there any applications that were incomplete or incorrect? Do they get an opportunity to correct them? Because I heard the Lions Club in Long Sault had an application that was incomplete, so I thought maybe they should have an opportunity, or had the opportunity, to correct whatever mistakes or voids that were not there.
Okay, Councillor Warden, and then Tim, if you have something after
Through you,
that.
Madam Warden, I'd like to answer that. Basically, staff works very hands-on with each applicant, and any mistakes that are caught are brought up in advance. And if they're not corrected before the deadline, they're not included. And our committee is very, the deadline is the deadline, but staff go out of their way to ensure that any questions, they work with the applicant. So if they didn't make the deadline, it's not staff's, it wasn't staff's issue.
Go ahead, Councillor Gardner.
Thanks, Madam Warden. I just add too, it's merit-based. So if the application goes in, it still, just because it's in doesn't mean that it's automatically approved. It's merit-based.
Go ahead, Councillor McGillis.
Okay, thanks for the answer. Was there any other businesses that applied, or how many other businesses applied for the RIP?
Tim, do you want to answer that?
The council members on the committee might know better, but I believe there was 3 that, if I recall correctly, that. I would say 3 did not. Yep. Yep.
But if I'm not mistaken, if a application isn't complete or not for whatever reason adequate, staff work with them in order to be able to apply to the next RIP round. Yeah. Go ahead.
That was the case with the Atlantic. They were turned down in our March submissions because it was incomplete, and then they revised and came back for the second round.
Yep. Great. Thank you, everybody. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Approved. Thank you very much. Under financial services, the 2022 excluded expenses report. Madam Clerk, please.
It's moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Armstrong, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry approve the 2022 excluded expenses report as required under Ontario Regulation 28409.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please go ahead, Rebecca.
Good morning, Council. So annually, we bring to Council a report that outlines all the non-cash expenses for the year. We base our budgets on a cash basis, therefore we don't include items such as amortization, post-employment benefits, things of that nature. So this report really just commits to the legislative requirements of outlining those non-cash expenses in a report to Council. So if I have any questions regarding any of those non-cash expenses, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Rebecca. Questions or comments? Well, getting off easy on that one too. I don't see any questions or comments, so I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you. And also under Financial Services, Court Services Coordinator position, Madam Clerk, please.
Moved by Councillor Warden, seconded by Councillor MacDonald, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry approve the attached Court Services Coordinator job description and its placement on the salary grid at Job Class 5, and that the Chief Administrative Officer and the Director of Financial Services be authorized to begin recruitment and to amend pertinent documents to reflect this change, including Schedule A to Bylaw number 5038 salary grid, organizational charts, and any other necessary documents.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Go ahead, Rebecca.
So over the last 2 years or so, we've had significant challenges in court services. We've had a lot of changes administratively, hybrid court, some downloads from MAG, and I updated Council last month with a presentation on those existing challenges and administrative requirements for court services. So we also completed a service delivery review in 2020, which outlined some efficiencies that could be made as well, which we have implemented some of those already, and they've gone quite well. So right now I'm asking for Council support in creating a new position for Court Services Coordinator to help address some of the challenges we have going on that I don't expect will go away in the future either. We have to adapt to the changes that have come down through the Ministry of Attorney General, as well as the demands for court, and to be able to provide an administrative, our administrative duty with relation to POA courts. We also have the ability right now to be proactive and provide some succession planning through getting a new staff member. We have 2 staff members who have the ability to retire in the next very short while, the next couple of years, and having experienced staff members to transition is quite important and quite crucial to the success of any department. So we can use this position as that ability, as well as the MAG downloads that have happened in November. We're expecting another download to come for administration purposes for reopenings this fall. And we need to prepare for the Part 3 download that I think will not be a choice for us in the future. So we need to transition to that and be prepared for it. We also have a vacant position on the organizational chart right now for a trial coordinator. Once that position, when that retirement occurred, we never filled it. We were able to manage that in-house with the decline in tickets, and we had just made that a function amongst the existing staff. Mostly our manager of court services was taking on that position. So essentially, Tim and I had the ability to meet and really discuss this over the last few months, and we've tossed back and forth a lot of important, information to try and find a way to plan for this, how to really make court services into what we need it to be. So the hope is to recruit an experienced court services coordinator, hopefully with 5 years experience that can assist with the transition and assist with the administrative challenges that we're experiencing right now. And I think it will really be a benefit to court services, but also to SG&G as well, as to have this transition take place now so we can prepare for the future properly.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'll just ask you a question before I open it up to the floor. So even though this is a new position, because that other position wasn't filled, it's not another body, to pay. Excuse me.
No, so the anticipation with this new position is the trial coordinator position that exists on the org chart now. We would not be filling that position.
Okay, that's a good clarification. Thank you. Questions or comments, please? Well, go ahead, Councillor Gardner.
Don't want to go through this meeting too quickly. So, Rebecca, it's just a general question. So, the way that you're designing the court services now, if there was all of a sudden a shift, would we be able to pivot? So I'm thinking maybe 15 years ago, there were wheel-offs on the 401. So all of a sudden, the charge rate goes up because, there's more inspections and everything like that, which would generate more tickets. I'm just wondering, the way that you're setting it up, if things would change, would you be able to deal with the increase?
So that's a good question, and one of the reasons why this position is more important than ever, because there are not only changes with tickets, there are changes with the administration of court, how we have to proceed with court, hybrid court, the existing demands electronically. This position is intended to really absorb all of that going forward, and it's one of the anticipated items when we were looking at all of this together. And also, we know the importance of having experienced staff. An experienced staff member who's had years and years of experience is as beneficial as 2 to 3 new staff. Losing that experience, not having the ability to train, we lose on productivity. Having that early and in advance will just make us be able to accommodate this much better in the future.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to follow Councillor Gardner's question, which was a great one. And as Rebecca said, we've been chatting about this about how to make sure we're proactive and well-positioned for what we know is coming, particularly the Part 3 downloads. And anyone who's either on the Police Services Board or the Shared Services Board will know what I'm talking about. So we've made a lot of changes in court services over the years, reacting to provincial changes or systemic changes regarding ticket volumes and things like that. And I think this is a really good evolution without creating a management position. It's going to create that coordination piece that's going to allow the manager to be more efficient in her job. So, and the other thing, it's a revenue neutral thing because court services is completely funded through tickets. So there's no net cost to the taxpayer, but still there's no new position here, just better positioning ourselves to react to what's happening now with the digitization of all the services, the hybrid court, and then particularly the Part 3 download, which we know is coming in the next, we don't know when, but it could be 2023, could be 2024. And that's a game changer for us. So we need to make sure we have as Rebecca said, that we have the experienced staff in there to manage that and make sure the administration of justice carries on as it should. So I certainly support it, and thanks for the question.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, go ahead. You're good? Okay. Councillor Wirt.
Through you, Madam Chair, I think everybody on County Council perks up whenever we hear the word download. And I think it's important that as we go through this process that if there's efficiencies, we identify them, but at the same time, if there's costs that we didn't previously be responsible for, that we track them just so that we know when the horse trading continues that there's pluses and minuses on both sides of the equation. Thank you.
Good point, Councillor Wirt. Thank you for that. Yes, go ahead, Rebecca.
So right now, over the years, I mean, the download occurred in 2001, and we've established the staffing at that time and really adapted to the needs of the court at the time. And then through the years, when the decline in tickets occurred, we haven't replaced staff who've retired or, who've moved on to other places. So there's actually 3 vacant positions on our organizational chart for court services right now that we haven't replaced to and don't intend to replace to. And then the trial coordinator, like this position here, kind of absorbs that as well. So if we were to be fully staffed based on the organizational charts, our costs would be much higher. But I think that having this position, we will be able to keep our costs relatively lower than what they could be, because the efficiencies that can be made by this position can be spread across the whole administration for court. So we're still trying to be cognizant of the fact that, even though we have a decline in tickets and it's not generating the revenues like we used to, we could still adapt to changes that are coming and keep our costs relatively low, and not have to replace positions, necessarily all the positions that are vacant. So we're very much aware of that and hope to still create further efficiencies even with this position coming.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, seeing no further questions, the motion's been read. All in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much, Rebecca. You've got your position. Now we're under transportation. We have setback at 18881 County Road 18. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Wirt, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry approve a setback of 22.8 meters from the center line of County Road 18 at Civic number 18881 Martintown to facilitate the construction of a detached garage, and authorize the Director of Transportation to issue a setback permit to recognize the same.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, Ben.
Well, good morning, Council. Very briefly on this one, we've had a request from the landowner at 18881 County Road 18, which is just east of Martintown, to construct a detached garage for various reasons. Looking at their property, they do have a large property, but unfortunately just with some of the existing amenities, trees, location of septic field, et cetera, kind of complying with the bylaw at getting approval at a staff level is not possible. Therefore, 2 options were to revise where that detached garage was going to go, or request a delegation or request council for consideration. With those challenges and kind of given how it fits with the driveway and whatnot, from staff's perspective, it certainly makes sense. But the need for council is, I think, you can kind of see it when you look at this picture. There's a very consistent setback along there, and this does create that precedent that council needs to approve to be able to move forward. So. Again, from a staff level, we don't have any issue with it, but we do need council's consideration and approval of this to move forward.
Thank you, Ben. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you. Okay, so on to tenders and quotations. 7.1, plow and spreader purchase, and this is for a 2023 unit. Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Laundrie, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry accept the price from Cornwall Freightliner for one diesel cab and chassis at the total price of $150,188 plus HST, and that Council accept the tender from Gincor Industries for associated plow equipment at their submitted price of $169,790 plus HST, and that the Director of Transportation Services be authorized to sign all necessary documents to give effect to the contracts.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So this is a pre-approval being requested, right, Ben?
That's correct. And as Council may remember, we had talked about some of the supply chain challenges within this industry and the need to kind of get out ahead of the curve so that we were still on track with how we replace the one plow per year. So we're looking ahead, to 2023. With the equipment, we did get one tender, which was from Gincor. For the cab and chassis, we didn't get any tenders, and we had talked at that point about us at a staff level kind of working with the suppliers to see what we could do. Fortunately, and I want to give credit to Derek for kind of continuing to dig on this one, we were able to secure a price from Freightliner from what I understood, it was a unit that someone canceled on, but it had very similar specs, very similar specs to what we have, and they could actually create the exact plow cab and chassis that we typically purchase. So they're able to meet the specifications in all regard, and it's already in the queue at the factory. So that this, to be quite honest with you, is our only option at this point for how we move forward. Looking at the pricing, to be fair, I think I recognize Council's accepting a price that we have worked with the supplier on. It's a price that reflects an increase in the market price compared to our previous one, but it's in a very similar kind of increase compared to the equipment itself, which was a tender. So I think it's a fair, from our perspective, it's a fair price for this cab and chassis, and for us, it's a way to move forward. So at a staff level, we are recommending approval of it, and we'll look for council's questions and whatnot.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Questions or comments? Okay, Councillor Landry, go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair, just quickly, did you secure a full tank of diesel? Because that's a game changer in my opinion.
Okay, all in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much. Moving on to bylaws, we have fees and charges. And I believe that Rebecca will speak to that. And Madam Clerk, if you could please put the bylaw on the table.
It's moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Smith, that bylaw number 5356, being a bylaw to adopt a fees and charges bylaw, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, so we currently have two bylaws to establish fees and charges, one separate for planning and the other one is for transportation, administration, tourism, and all other fees and charges. So in 2020, we updated the transportation one, and we've added wording to waive fees for other municipalities or when it's unreasonable or impractical, but we never updated the tariff of fees for planning. So this was an opportunity in working with Peter. We've just blended the two bylaws to establish one fees and charges bylaw so that the wording among the two is now into the one bylaw, and it's more efficient and practical just to have the one bylaw outlining the fees. And also we've continued to have the inflationary clause in there to adapt or to inflate the fees and charges annually with COLA.
Very good. Thank you, Rebecca. Questions or comments? I guess you're very self-explanatory. All in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much, Rebecca. I guess we're doing the merry-go-round here. 8.2, encroachment at 18540 SDG 18. Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Warden, seconded by Councillor Wirt, that bylaw number 5357, being a bylaw for the purpose of establishing an encroachment agreement between the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry and 1882255 Ontario Inc. at 18540 County Road 18, Martintown, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you. Martintown's a hot area for council approvals today. This one, a long-standing encroachment in Martintown, the former, I guess, that started as the RRCA building and then hockey stick, and it's kind of gone through a couple iterations. It is going through an ownership change, and through that ownership change, it was identified that there was an encroachment, but it was not recognized. So just to dot the T's and cross the T's and dot the I's, that was close. The owner has requested that council enter into an encroachment agreement just to legitimize that encroachment. So from our perspective, no problem. It's kind of been there since the beginning of this building, and it's not an issue. It's behind the guide rail, so quite honestly, it's not even something you would recognize in the right-of-way unless you looked at a legal map, which I guess is what happened here. So in all of that, it's a boilerplate encroachment agreement that council's considering, very similar to what we've passed previously.
Very good. Thank you, Ben. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion. Carried, none opposed. Thank you. On to appointment of weed inspector. Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Wirt, that bylaw number 5358, being a bylaw to appoint an area weed inspector, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Ben.
Achieving a career goal of mine today, as you'll note in this bylaw. Really what it comes down to, and we're going to recognize Peter later on today at our staff awards. We are working, so we're recognizing Peter. He is retiring. He's submitted his resignation letter, but generously offered to stick on through the transition as we do hire somebody. Council may recall we had approved at budget, which is still coming back at our next meeting, a forestry position, and the idea was to incorporate the weed inspector duties as part of that position, so kind of amalgamate it all. And I think from a staffing perspective, it makes a lot of sense to have that as one position. So this is really just we'll call it an interim kind of holding pattern while we finish that position, get it approved by council, go through the recruitment and whatnot, to appoint a secondary weed inspector, which is the director, myself, so right on. And that's really what this is just all about. It's a stopgap solution, and something we probably should have done right from the outset, to be quite honest, just to, I think that there is a importance to make sure we have that backup and having more than one person having delegated authority, because just even I think of some of the planning stuff as well, having a couple people being able to sign and move stuff forward it's a good thing from a business continuity and efficiency perspective. So that's what this is all about, and at some point, hopefully in the next 5-6 months, we'll be amending this again.
All right, lucky you. All those phone calls get to go directly to Ben. Questions or comments? Councillor Landry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. So, Ben, the time, what are we looking at as far as time that our weed inspector is occupying dealing with county? And second question is, does South Nation have expertise that they could also maybe help us in that regards, or do they? I know they're forestry, but I don't know if they also have the expertise with weeds.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't answer the South Nation one. I do know they do treat noxious weeds or invasive. Sorry, I should say invasive weeds as part of forestry includes invasive invasive species management. So weeds by virtue of that would be part of what they do. And I mean, quite honestly, we do deal with invasive plants all the time in our forests and have to do spraying and all sorts of different things to address those. So that's a relatively common practice in forestry. So that I guess that speaks to the synergy of why we felt that this position, as well as the position potentially, that council will be considering at our next meeting, made a lot of sense. In terms of time that Peter spends on the Weed Control Act issues, it does get busy at this time of year, and it keeps him, there's work to be done, but every year varies. I mean, I think he's dealing with, and I'm sorry I don't know, but I feel it's 20 calls a year kind of thing, and I know just even myself, I've already had to work towards a resolution on one issue. And thankfully, again, Peter said he's happy to stick around and work through the summer and continue to help with that. So that's why he's still in that bylaw designated. And my hope is really he'll carry the brunt of it and help. But it's good for me too to learn kind of what he does and how he does it. So I'm actually taking away quite a bit from just even working with Peter. So did that answer your question? I feel like I went on a little tangent there. Yeah, no, fair enough. And perhaps if we're unsuccessful with some aspect of how we're creating the position and kind of moving forward with that might be something we need to look at for sure.
Great, thank you. Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much, Ben. Onto the updated entrance bylaw. Excuse me, Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Wirt, seconded by Councillor McDonald, that bylaw number 5359, being a bylaw to regulate entrances onto a county road and ditch filling, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, I swear this is the last time this comes up for council. Yeah, just really encapsulates everything we've talked about around the table. And I think, at the end of the day, I think we've got a great bylaw here that's going to, work positively for council and the residents.
So this is the final adoption. Very good. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much, Ben. On to 8.5, NG 911 Authority Service Agreement. Madam Clerk, please.
It's moved by Councillor Warden, seconded by Councillor Laundrie, that bylaw number 5360, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of the NG 911 Authority Service Agreement between the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry and Bell Canada, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Good morning, Council. As discussed at previous meetings, we're moving ahead, or Bell and our providers are moving ahead with NG 911. This is basically a formality to allow the process to continue. Not many options. We basically don't have a choice but to sign this with Bell so that we can continue to provide that 911 service to our residents. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much, Mike. And 8.6, Renewal of Corporate Insurance Policy. Rebecca, you're back up.
It's moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Smith, that bylaw number 5361, being a bylaw to authorize the acceptance of the municipal insurance program proposal submitted by Marsh for the period July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, at a total premium of $205,647,000 plus applicable taxes, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, so our liability insurance renewal package is from July 1st to June 30th every year, and the July 1st date is coming up for our next renewal period. So the main increase to our insurance premiums is relating to cyber. There's been many providers who are either getting out of the market or declined coverage. We went, Carolyn Corkery, who works for Halpenny as our broker, she's reached out to 8 cyber insurance companies, and 4 have either declined or are getting out of the market. And the current supplier that we have right now was the cheapest alternative, even with an increase of $7,600 to our existing policy for cyber. I'm recommending that we continue the policy with cyber because if we ever get out of that market and get out of that coverage, we will likely not ever get back in. So I would suggest that we maintain that coverage. We've done a really great job, even with Mike St. Ange, our IT director, implementing additional features and security measures, filled out all the information for the insurance companies very well so that they still feel that they can provide us this insurance. I have budgeted to have an increase this year. I was estimating an increase of about 12% for the general liability, so we are within budget for the next policy. And as for just the overall municipal liability, we have not changed any deductibles whatsoever. We are maintaining them the way they are, just to keep our premiums to a reasonable amount and manageable for our budget. So.
Very good. Thank you, Rebecca. Questions or comments? Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Through you, Warden. Rebecca, I'm old school at this here. Have we had any claims through cyber, or has there been any claims regionally, or is this just something that they're insuring for us so that in case it happens? I just was wondering if they're increasing this because there's been claims or just because they can.
Well, we're currently in a really hard market for cyber, and the digital landscape has transitioned quite a bit over the last few years. For claims, I can't really discuss anything like that in an open council meeting. So but essentially the changes are just due to the extreme changes in our digital life right now and for businesses.
Yeah, Councillor Smith, it's difficult to get into a detailed conversation without going in camera, which we can do if you would request
No,
that.
I was just curious. Thanks.
Oh, thank you very much. Councillor Jaworski.
Just a quick comment about the risk of cybersecurity and where it's happening. I mean, if you search it really quick, I was trying to remember which local municipality was a hit, but like Clarence Rockland was hit with a ransomware attack like within the last 12 months. So and there's a few from before that as well. And these go into the millions of dollars to try to recuperate the data. So I just figured I'd just throw in like one quick local example.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor McGillis.
Yes, and thank you. At our municipality, at the beginning of our term, we spent a lot of time and effort and time and money trying to stop putting walls up and things like that to prevent, being, what do they call it, cyber attacks. So it's worked well for us. The question I have is the insurance company giving us any or a cheaper rate because of the things that we're doing at this end too? In terms of trying to stop cyberware?
We can go in camera if you'd like further details. Okay.
But, yes, they're giving us a better rate, or no, they're not giving us a better rate is something to go in the camera for?
Yeah, I think we need to go in
Okay,
camera
let's
for that.
let's do this another day, because I know we have other things on the agenda, so today's not the day.
I think, Councillor, Mike has put in place, many internal mechanisms in order to protect us. We can put this item on our in-camera agenda if you would like to. Would anyone want to request that? We're good? Okay. Okay, very good. You can cover that off. That would be fine. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. If there's nothing else, all in favor of the motion. Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much. All right, the consent agenda. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Warden, seconded by Councillor Landry, that all items listed under the consent agenda section of the agenda be received for information purposes.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much. On to boards and committees. I'll just quickly start with my warden's report out. Oh, sorry, you need to put that on the table. There's no motion? Okay. I'll just start quickly with the warden's report. May the 21st came along, and my life went from 0 to 100. So there's a number of activities. It's been actually pretty exciting to be traveling around and representing SDG across the board. So things started out with the Cornwall 1784 celebration of friendship, which happened here at the park on May the 21st. It was the first event of its kind, bringing all kinds of different cultures together. It was a really terrific event. That followed by the Queen's Jubilee celebration. Then work on the regional waste management study. I've been working very closely with Ben on that study. We'll be talking about that later. I attended the South Dundas Lions Club 75th Charter Night, as well as the Legion D-Day event, which was a wonderful event. Then the United Way Annual General Meeting, followed by the Children's Aid Society Annual General Meeting, and excuse me, a tour of GFL. And then this last Friday was the Prescott Russell Golf Tournament, and I was able to travel around with the Warden of Prescott Russell on his golf cart all day, and it was pretty fun. So I met all kinds of wonderful people doing that. So those are my exciting activities. On to Joint Liaison Committee. I don't believe we've had a meeting. Okay. So I think the next one is coming up. What is it, Tim? August or September? Oh,
July 15th, I believe.
Oh, July 15th? Okay. Library Board. Who's speaking to that? Lyle or?
Through you, Madam Warden. We met at the Williamsburg branch, and it was a normal meeting. We had an in-camera session, and things are in good hands over there.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great. Of course. And a delicious meal. Great. Okay, thank you. Police Services Board, either Jim or Brian?
I can start off if you want, Jim. We had the opportunity to fill out a survey after our meeting, and there was a lot of questions or comments there that we could fill out if you had any concerns. So we all done that. We'll get we'll hear from it from, I guess, the next meeting in terms of what this is Ontario wide, all the surveys that were done. So it was good that they got the board involved in this. They will be receiving body cameras by the fall, and they'll be wearing them at all times. That's something that's new. There was an increase in criminal checks over the past, since our last meeting, say a couple of months, and the background checks will be done now online, so it'll be easier for them to manage that. There's increase in number of foot patrols, which was good to hear, because a lot of communities where they had strip malls and things like that prevent vandalism, or parks. So it's good to hear that they're out there and they're doing some foot patrols. Enhanced joint policing with the City of Cornwall Police for better community service. And what else do I have here? With traffic and marine and trail safety, it's they set another standard with the detachments priorities in 2022. So they're happy to report that there's been a significant increase in proactive detachment in individual activities. So that's good to hear that too. So yeah, and they said they requested it with the rest of the board members if they would support some funding that they do every year in terms of like $750 went to the Baldwin House, $500 went to the food bank, and $500 went to the CCH hospital. And that's so far. Do you have anything? I'm sorry, through you. Do you have anything else to add?
Go ahead, Councillor Wirt.
You want to mention that? Yeah, they also mentioned about the contract renewal. They're going to start. So that, yeah, Tim said he'll bring that forward when that comes to his table.
Yes, big one. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. I think it's also important that our staff sergeant brought us up to speed on the involvement that our local detachments had in the Ottawa protest, and what it cost us in time and financial resources. None of that will be impacted at our level, but it's eye-opening to see the response required to address these situations. So hopefully there's a lesson there for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wirt. Go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Has there been any mention at the meetings about increased water safety or a crackdown on water safety? I'm hearing from my boater friends that there either seems to be a lot more OPP out in the water, or there is a crackdown, because it seems like every time they go out, they're getting pulled over and checked.
Councillor McGillis.
Well, as I said, the traffic, marine, and trail safety have been set as detachment priorities. So yes.
Yes? All right, thank you.
The question is yes. The answer is yes to that question.
Very good, thanks. Okay, thank you for that report. Eastern Ontario Health Unit, I believe you weren't at the last one, so I'll report quickly here. This is as of May 19th, so of course things have changed since then, but vaccines are being effective, continue to be effective against hospitalization. Excuse me. 43% of the population still need their third dose across Cornwall and SDG. As we all know, the third dose did not protect well against Omicron. And of course, for the fall, there is a concern over a possible new variant. I think you probably all know this stuff. So there is a vaccine out there to prevent long-haul COVID. And Dr. Paul is anticipating a positive summer. So that's good news. Glenstart Lodge.
Through you, Madam Warden. We had a meeting last week. The lodge went back into outbreak. There was 2 reported positive cases. With the procedures and policies that they have adopted since the out of the pandemic, they were able to just shut down 1 floor and isolate it. So, which is good for the rest of the residents. So they're getting better with that. And it was business as usual for the rest of the meeting, but very happy to report that they were able just to shut down 1 section of the home. And as far as I know, as of this morning, it's still an outbreak, but just 2 cases.
Thank you for that report. Councillor, St. Lawrence River Institute, Councillor Gardner.
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Raisin South Nation source water protection, I have nothing to report. Municipal advisor, Councillor Fraser is not here for that. Eastern Ontario Agri-Food Network, we are in the midst of recruiting for the executive director position as we speak for that organization. And I have nothing to report with regards to the Regional Emergency Response Council. So thanks everyone for that. We're now on to key information reports. We have a report from Tim on the Regional Affordable Housing Working Group update. Go ahead, Tim.
Thank you, Madam Warden. This is just a very quick report. As you'll see on page 104, we met on May 30th. That was myself, all the local CAOs, the city CAO, their housing staff, as well as Peter, our Director of Planning, was there. And so we talked about, what we can do locally and regionally to move the yardsticks and to get identify parcels and have them shovel ready. So what we determined at a staff level, we're just going to do a very simple terms of reference to, we have a, just to guide the work of the committee. And then one of the first thing that's going to be happening over the summer is parcels of land that are suitable for immediate development will be identified, all the details gathered, so zoning, servicing, where it is, so on and so forth. And this is an update on the work that was done in 2019, because a lot has changed since 2019. So that will be ready, and we'll have a repository of all the lands that are available, so when the province or the federal government decides that they're going to release funds, we'll be ready to go. So that'll be by local municipalities. So I think that's great. And once that's available, it'll be presented not only here, but all your local council tables for review and approval and go forward. So I think it's a great first step. We also had Peter and I and Tara were at a Warden's Caucus meeting last week in Napanee. They're also doing a similar project at a macro regional level, that being the Warden's Caucus group. So things are moving forward on that file, because we all know how important having places for people to live are. So that's just an update. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Tim, can you talk a little bit more about that summit that you were at and the intention of how that information is going to inform the Warden's Caucus for AMO?
Yes, there's a working group of, well, it's quite a large group. Peter was there. Directors of planning, housing managers, and CAOs from across the Warden's Caucus. So we had a summit last week to put together some ideas to present to the wardens at their meeting. The Warden's Caucus meeting is actually here in our county next month. So it'll be a series of options that they can approve that they want to move forward to the multi-ministerials delegation at AMO in August. So there'll be threads that the wardens can pick through, and they're based on, you know, policy levers, funding levers. You know, I think the key message going to be coming out of that group is to the wardens. I mean, this is just at a staff level at this point, is, you know, you want to build 1.5 million homes, so we're a willing partner. We want to work with you. You know, here's the things we're suggesting you can do in our region that's going to help the private sector and the not-for-profit sector move forward. Here's the policy levers you can pull. So a lot of work's gone into it, and as well, the Warden's Caucus group is working with CMHC and the Royal Ontario Institute to develop some metrics around housing throughout all the regions. So they'll be able to click, update, real time. It'll be a boon for, you know, real estate as well, private sector, by each region. You know, market rents, all that kind of stuff, available housing units, all that kind of stuff. So they're developing that digital tool that's going to allow that to move forward. So there's lots happening on that file right now. So thank you for the question, Warden.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tim, for that. This is a pretty exciting initiative, because putting all of those sort of heads in a room together and getting ourselves sort of set up so that we can then lobby the government effectively is really important. And so, you know, all of the wardens around the table at our last meeting in Renfrew were really excited about this because, you know, everybody is working on the housing file. We need to be focused and determined in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And so that working group is really going to manage to narrow that down for us so that the Warden's Caucus will be able to be effective in this effort. So it's been, you know, staff have really done a good job at that level of things. Are there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Warden. It's a question, for CAO Simpson. And I'm glad to hear that there's going to be a sort of re-look at what's available and having that list put to date in terms of what lands are available for projects going forward. But as you said, you know, there's a lot of change since 2019. So how are we going to make sure that or is there a process that's going to be embedded to make sure that we're keeping this new list that we're making, how we keep it up to date? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. As I said, and you said, a lot has changed in the landscape over the last 3 years. So I'm looking over at Peter, our Director of Planning. I think him through the county and certainly the city. This is a great. You know, I appreciate the city reaching out and you know, we're working together as a region. So it'll be up to our planning folks, I think, to make sure that that list is current because it's changing so quickly. Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the 2021 surplus. Rebecca, go ahead.
Okay, so with the auditor here this morning providing his delegation on our financial statements and position for 2021, I thought it would be a good idea just to go over the surpluses that we have established at the end of the year for 2021. So the Police Services Board for $95,120, Library Services Board $233,677, and SDG County $975,978. So during the audit process and year-end processes, we really went through and evaluated almost line by line items that operating expenses, revenue losses that could be established through using the COVID fund. We were able to transition those expenses and those revenue losses by using COVID funding. And in turn, what that did was it created a surplus overall for the county. So we were able to really go through in-depth analysis of our actual costs that have occurred in 2021. And as you're aware, the COVID funding had quite a bit of limitations. However, the surpluses that we have here in the 2021 budget are up to the Police Services Board surplus remains with Police Services Board, the policing remains, or the library remains with library. However, the SDG county surplus can be used at council's discretion. So I just wanted to kind of update council on that. Our COVID funding for the 2022 year will most likely be used by the end of the year with projects that we have budgeted to use COVID funding for, as well as additional items that we have budgeted along the way through council to be used through COVID funding. So,
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Any questions or comments for Rebecca? Okay, thank you very much for your report. Transportation Services Projects Update. Go ahead, Mike. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, and good morning. So many of our costlier projects are underway, so we're able to start to see how they're shaping up, and certainly that's the case with our first asphalt recycling tender, which is moving along quite well. I was able to drive several of those sections last week, and there's not much to report there other than it's moving forward. As you know, the hot mix program follows that. Within 30 days, they will be paving those sections of road with a new single lift of asphalt. We're keeping our eye on the price of AC, which has gone up significantly since the work was tendered, and so we are anticipating AC adjustments will be a large item this year. So we've provided some numbers here based on the current market value and some projections towards the end of the year, and the big issue here is that everything is based on the current market value and the hope that it doesn't continue to go up. So we'll be back again next month at the next meeting with an update, and we'll see how things go. Tenders number 2 for asphalt recycling and hot mix have not started yet. However, based on the current prices, we've provided the updates for those as well, and the projections for those as well, for how much those AC adjustments will cost, again, if the prices hold steady. CCTV is starting this morning in Alexandria, and after that they will be moving throughout South Glengarry. So I'm happy to see that started, and we'll have some information to share as that progresses. Black Creek Bridge is moving along. Once they peeled back the layers, they did find more degradation on the girders themselves than anticipated. However, we're hopeful that it's going to be kept minimal. Right now, we're projecting $100,000 in additional construction costs for the entire bridge, not just stage 1. That's the both sides, and our engineering consultant has been reviewing the situation and is hopeful that we can continue on with the planned thickened deck slab, which will overcome everything that we've seen so far, as well as the repairs to the ends. And we made the decision to replace the ballast walls, as we were going to be cutting them down shorter for the semi-integral bridge end. So that is a small item compared to what we could have faced there if the girders had been worse. Again, we're seeing girder issues at East Castor River Bridge. This is one particular girder. I believe there are 4 at that bridge, and this one will just be intricate in that we have to make spot repairs before we can jack up the girders to make the other spot repairs right adjacent for the same section of degradation. It's just that the girder end is degraded on the bearing pad. So That one there is just very careful again, under the supervision of the engineer, making sure that they get those repairs done to save the girders and breathe new life into that bridge. We don't have any additional cost estimates on that bridge at this time. We're just keeping an eye on it for traffic staging. However, that one does have a fairly generous lane, being a former provincial highway, and we have no complaints on any of the staging on that bridge so far. The last bridge, Ferguson Bridge, this one's a bit of good news. It had the waterproof and paving on top, and when that was all peeled off, they found the deck to be in very good condition, and so we're expecting to come in under on deck patching quantities and have a small surplus there. And so that bridge is moving forward at quite a good pace, and we're very pleased with that one. Just a summary of the bridge costs here. It's the same costs that I've been carrying forward every month with the tenders that we've been putting out. So we're just noting that $100,000 for Black Creek Bridge as our final value estimated over the approved value. Moving forward with work for later this year, a lot of it is contingent on that July 15th water window, in-water work window, so not a whole lot has started on our culverts, our large culverts or our culvert lining projects. More information will be brought at the next meeting for that one. We are moving ahead early this year with the designs for bridge rehabilitation for 2023. The intent there is to have cost estimates with our bridge, have a better understanding of what the bridges need at the time of budget. So next month you're going to see a lot of those tenders come out when normally they're provided to you in August or September. So just a heads up that will be brought to you early. Our roads need study has progressed quite well. The road inspections are done. He's working on his report. Everything on that project is on schedule. And lastly, with regards to the design for the County Road 22 rehabilitation, our engineer is moving ahead with the design. We've been in touch with them regularly with how things are going, what they're looking at the moment. They're really starting with the bottom up, making sure that they've got a handle on all the culverts, anything that needs to be replaced before they start looking at what's going to go on top of that. So it's they've got their head in the right place. Certainly, we've had extensive conversations about what we can do for the road, and we've retained Ainley Graham and Associates Limited to do some boreholes along that 5.8 kilometer stretch of road. So the boreholes will be proceeding very soon. We'll see what kind of soil is under there, and we'll get the recommendations for the best type of road rehabilitation shortly. We're also working with the Township of North Stormont staff to retain the engineer who will be appointed as the drainage engineer, since this road is anticipated to have impacts on about 7 municipal drains. We will have to go through the Drainage Act process for any impacts that we have on the municipal drains. So we're getting that process initiated as soon as possible to avoid delays. And at this time, everything appears to be coming together, and that early next summer, we should be in a good position to get started on that construction project.
Thank you very much for your report. That sounds like a complex project for sure. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Gardner.
And I apologize because I did not notice whenever I was driving in, but do you have the timeline for the repaint on the streetscape in Morrisburg? I was pretty sure it hadn't been done yet, but just in case it was done this morning.
I believe specialty marking has been done.
Okay, so it's like repainted, all the lines and everything?
Specialty markings would be hatching, crosswalks, I believe, not the center line and not the white line.
Ben?
Because, yeah,
Tim's.
we had asked.
Yeah.
I thought, sorry to just interject.
I took another route, so I wasn't paying attention. I mean,
It's all done.
okay.
We added some additional painting in that specialty marking work just while they were there at nighttime, so.
So it was done in the last week?
Yeah, You know, the weather was a challenge. I would have guessed it was done already 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly.
I thought I heard it was done 2 weeks ago.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, thank you for that. Anything else? Okay, thank you for your report. Now we are on to 11.4, the Butterfly Habitat Project on SDG 31. Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you. I wanted to take a couple minutes of council's time and really just put this out there into the world, because it's one of those things that if you don't toot your horn or toot the horn of staff every once in a while, I think it's a lost opportunity, quite honestly. Council had expressed an interest in kind of supporting the idea of creating pollinator gardens where and when they make sense on county roads, and so we took that direction and have been working with the SDG Butterfly Way project, specifically Christina and Michelle, on this initiative. And I'm pleased to report that we have now created, and this is on County Road 31, created essentially a pollinator garden, just a small section. It's not a large area, but an area that I'd suggest works very well in terms of our ability to maintain the roadsides. You know, we spent a lot of time trying to find the right spot, and a spot that worked for not only what Christina and Michelle were hoping to achieve, but also that doesn't interfere with the essential work that we need to do and keep the roads safe. And so we've created it. It now has been planted, from what I understand, and we look forward to continuing to work and tend to this area and see how it develops and grows. So I think a good news story, and of particular note, I want to recognize Steve Lalonde, our Finch Patrol Supervisor. He's really taken this type of work by the horns. We've done some lessons learned, and as Mayor McGillis, we had some correspondence last week on the Memorial Hill Cemetery. There was an area last year that we tried some things with. I mean, this is a trial and error issue. It's not easy with in a ditch when you're spreading salt and dealing with all sorts of different things out there. So we did a trial last year. It wasn't greatly successful, so we have to look at how to remediate that next year, or sorry, this in the next little bit, but it was something we tried, and again, working with Christina and whatnot, and different various best practices that we see out there. But Stephen, coming back to Stephen, he's been championing a whole bunch of these types of initiatives, and he's really taken the bull by the horns and has gone out and looked at various things, learning and trying to promote this internally. So kudos to him, and I think he deserves good recognition for the countless hours he's putting into this stuff. I do want to recognize as well Barry Gray. Barry, patrol supervisor from Finch. So this is in his area, and he's going to ultimately be making sure that it's tended to and kind of performs well. But not only that, but I guess it speaks to the quality of the type of staff that we have working here. Donated the use of his tractor trailer. That's his pickup truck that brought it out there to be able to till that area. So, we're keeping track of time. We want to know how much this costs, but Barry took it upon himself to say, hey, I've got the equipment that can actually do this, and so I appreciate that. It's not necessary, and it's valued when employees are willing to kind of put themselves out there. And last but not least, Mitchell Barkley, he donated the use of his rototiller. So Barry's tractor, trailer, truck, and Mitchell's rototiller, and he was out there looking after that work as it was taking place. So again, it's something that staff don't need to do. They could have easily said, they could have easily not said, hey, I can help out with this personally, but they did, and that's something that I hope council really values. So that's what I wanted to report on that one.
Thank you for that report. That's a great project. Questions or comments? I know Councillor Fraser was very excited about this project. Too bad he's not here for the update. But if there are no comments or questions, then we'll move on. Thank you, Ben. I guess you can stay where you are, because we're going to be talking about the regional waste management communication strategy. So before Ben starts, I just want to remind everybody that, like I said earlier, I've been working very closely with Ben to get this the final draft to a point where it is going to be something that we can all work with, and it's almost there. And I know that council members are anxious and feel that that the project is overdue. Ben can speak to that timeline. I just want to remind everybody when we have this conversation today that it is with regards to the communication strategy. Since we don't have any details of the plan in front of us, I would appreciate that we don't get into the weeds about speculating on what's in the plan until we've all had an opportunity to absorb it. So please go ahead, Ben.
Thank you, and I appreciate you saying that, because that's similar to what I was going to preface this on. I think one of the challenges we've faced with this project is that we have it's extremely complex in terms of what it's trying to accomplish and the vision it's trying to create, and it's extremely complex because we've got 12 council members with 12 around this table, and then we've got all the local municipal council members, and then we have local staff, and I think everybody has valid and great visions in terms of what makes sense from a regional perspective, and they're all very good ideas, but they're all very different ideas, and us trying to create a document that attempts to satisfy everybody has been a serious challenge, and not only that, and particularly when that involves a lot of time with with people and turnover in various positions across the municipalities, as well as dealing with the global pandemic over the past many years, has created some challenges. And I'm not trying to make excuses for why we are where we are today, but rather just I appreciate if that context is there. In terms of how we, I really value our warden and the I guess level of commitment she has to seeing this through. It's been great to have that support. What we see in terms of how we want to move this forward is a multi-stage rollout plan. And we're here talking to County Council about it just to make sure County Council's on board, because ultimately, at the end of the day, this isn't a county, this has in some ways nothing to do with the county in a sense, because we don't do waste management. This is locally done. It's up to the local municipalities to really come together on this one. It's not something that we either dictate or make any requirement for. So it takes, I think, some leadership and some guidance locally, if I'm being quite frank, to be able to move regionalization forward. It's, again, we were intended to be essentially the the facilitator of this, but it's ultimately the local municipality's plan. So we're trying to, I guess, balance all of these challenges with all these local municipalities, and not only that, but here as well. So ultimately, where we're going in terms of the rollout plan is what we'd like to do is meet with public works officials and CAOs locally just to review the final draft. That's our opportunity to provide that final comment from a staff level and make sure that in principle, staff at least are on board with what the draft report says. Then presenting that final draft to local councils to seek their endorsement of the plan and a commitment really to continue to work together. After which it would come to County Council for formal adoption. So our proposal is really here at County Council, where it's kind of formally adopted. And then depending on how council turnover goes, like I can appreciate there may be some need to kind of reintroduce this if there's new council members, and I'm not just suggesting, or I don't want to suggest here, because I enjoy working with you all, and I know some aren't coming back. I recognize that it is an election, so there is some challenges there, and locally, same thing, that you might have some new faces around the tables there, so we want to make sure everybody is familiar with what's going on. And then after that, really, it's that implementation, which the draft report does provide. It's, I would suggest, a very logical accumulation of small wins into big wins to get to an idea of regionalization. Am I characterizing that correct, Madam Warden? Okay. So that's how I see it, and I think that it's a supportable plan. We just need to make sure that everybody is marching in the same direction, or rowing in the same direction, as our CAO likes to. I'm going to take that one from him. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that. Now, in terms of timeline, because we talked about this communication plan, which it makes sense to me. We'll see whether it makes sense to council members. Excuse me. When do you expect to be able to have a broad idea of when this plan will be in front of, at the very least, in front of local municipalities?
Well, I would see within, if you know, council agrees with this, this direction, within the next several weeks, I think we'd be able to start meeting. Actually, to be honest, I think the ideal scenario is to just have one big meeting with all the local CAOs and public works officials. So, you know, similar to some of the challenges we faced, it's hard to find find times where everybody's available, but I think within the next, you know, with council's approval, we can set a date, and at least we can start, you know, that really sets up how we move forward beyond that with local council presentations.
Very good. Okay, so that's soon. Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Councillor Gardner.
Couple of questions. This consultation process or working with the consultant has taken quite a long time. Has the consultant kept up to pace with the discussions that have happened at the local municipal council tables? So you would think that would be part of the process. So, you know, them watching the conversations that are occurring, because most of us have continued our conversation and dialogue, even though this got somewhat stalled. And it would have been prudent to have the consultant actually keep an eye on that, so we're not doing catch-up, because now they're meeting with everybody, but we've had months of discussion about this. I know at our council table we have. So I'm just wondering if part of the consultant's process, if they've been paying attention to the discussions that have been happening at each of our council tables.
I guess the answer to that is to the extent that they could. I mean, I don't think there's any expectation that they're tuning into every council meeting when a discussion takes place, but certainly as things have changed and they've been made aware of it, it's been incorporated. So is it Jeff still looking after the kind of leading the charge in your end?
Well, I mean, with ours, not so much watching the YouTube channel, but I mean, the agendas would have had the, you know, consultants report, that type of thing. I feel like the data collection on this, we had one meeting as a group and fellow council members from our respective council tables also joined in that discussion, and then it just stagnated. And I'm just wondering I'm just wondering what was done in the process leading up to this, because I'm looking at your timeline, and it will be a challenge. I agree for efficiencies to have all the CAOs and all the people in charge, but I'm just wondering at the quality of that meeting where you've got each individual municipality kind of hashing out their own, you know what I mean, their own issue. And I'm just wondering if the consultant had kind of kept abreast of what was developing. You know, would have been a time saver, right, in 2 years?
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Dworsky, then Councillor Warden.
Thank you, through you, Madam Warden, and thank you, Ben, for bringing this in front of us. Certainly, I think we need to be full steam ahead and the highest, you know, as high a priority as we can put on this, because, I mean, understanding in certain municipalities, it's getting to be very urgent, or it's much more urgent, whereas, you know, in South Glengarry, we see the writing on the wall. It's a bit further out, though. But, you know, we were fortunate that our Environment Committee at South Glen, that I chair, we had the consultant actually come and present the work that had been done up to that point, and so they maybe got a little bit of a sense of what that committee sort of has looking for, and we were able to ask, it was an interesting discussion to have. And then just on Friday, our committee went and toured both our landfills in South Glengarry. So this is like a very fresh in my mind topic that we really need to move forward on, and I'm really looking forward to what's going to come out of this, because again, our committee at South Glen, there's suggestions, recommendations that the group would like to make, but it's sort of like, well, what's going to happen in this bigger context? We don't want to recommend one thing and then it's like, oh, well, that sort of doesn't make sense anymore. So again, highest priority, and I guess just a general comment. I mean, it's a big problem. It's a regional issue. We're going to need to work together. I think we have to keep it in our minds that, a great solution is not going to be a perfect solution, but we need to get the solution going. And so there might be some compromises. There might be some, we're not getting everything we want on that menu, But I think we have to look at it regionally, and we have to have that mind that we need to move this forward, and the perfect solution is not going to come. We need to keep moving on the great solution, that working together. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Jaworski. Councillor Warden.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Ben, when is the draft, when is council going to be able to review the draft document for our own input, if there's anything that we don't like in it or anything like that?
Yeah, so the idea again was to again, essentially it's a multi-phased approach, but ultimately we want to make sure local public works officials, CAOs, don't see any hiccups with what the report and draft report says. At that point, present it to council, because we recognize that's when it's out in the public, and it's not super controversial, but we just want to, I think from a prudent perspective, we want to make sure that, the last thing we want to do is bring a report in front of all your local councils and then it just gets, I'll find the right word. It's not supported. Like, we want to make sure that at a staff level, it's supported, kind of coming from the bottom up.
So I think what Ben's saying is that county council members will have the opportunity to see it at the same time as it's going to local CAOs, and I mean, everyone needs the information at the same time, I would say. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Warden. Just to your point earlier, I think it was the most salient point. None of us have seen a report, so we certainly don't want to get into the weeds. But in discussions with Mayor Fraser and myself, just to echo what Councillor Jaworski had said, we are anxious to see this report, and we're anxious to see what recommendations are in there, so we can discuss them at the local level, because we too endorse seeing this come as timely as possible, to then be able to decide whether or not we have any interest in the deal. This is our biggest trepidation as well. As it could be the great deal, it could be something that none of us want to touch, but we don't know. So that's where the frustration sort of sits in, and I think certainly from Tony and myself, we endorse this timeline and to start to get the information sharing, and then there is I'm sure a very long and interesting discussion when we go to get to these deals, but it would at least be nice to get it to that point before we get too far along and people have other things that they have to deal with, like the election.
Thank you for that, Councillor Armstrong. Yeah, I think the timeline's a good one. I just want to say that as Ben and I have been talking about this, one of the things that we're looking at is gathering more information from GFL. And having said that, because GFL is a large, waste management company right in our backyard, we need to know they are industry leaders, so we need good information from them. And I'd just like to encourage all county council members, if you haven't already visited the site, it's a good idea to take a tour, because I think that anyone who has gone through it will tell you that it's quite eye-opening to see the future of waste management, or waste diversion as they like to call it, and where the future is going. And you will witness it firsthand by touring the site. And so I would highly encourage everybody to do that. If you're interested in that, Tara can put together a tour, because they have a bus, and that bus, they'll take you around and they'll show you the whole shebang, and they'll talk to you about what their plans are for the future, which, as you all know, are fairly impressive. So I think everybody needs all of the information possible in order to be able to move this thing forward in a positive way, and I think we've got the bones to do that, and I'm glad to hear that it's going to be unveiled soon. Councillor Jaworski, go ahead.
Thanks. Just a quick comment that I forgot that I wanted to mention. So we're fortunate that in our committee that we have a resident who works for the city of Cornwall in the sustainability side, and so some of her questions when we had the regional gentleman come and present, was about how we're, meshing potentially with the city of Cornwall. And at that time, but this was some time ago, it was still, it didn't seem like there was really any close discussion. So I just want to mention that I'm hoping that that's also part of that we've, to Councillor Gardner's point about continuing the conversation since the last time, that they've been continuing the potential conversation with Cornwall as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jaworski. I think we need to encourage Cornwall to take that tour as well, probably. Go ahead, Councillor Wirt.
Yeah, through you, Madam Warden, and Ben, I don't envy you the challenge you've got here, because you've got so many different aspects to deal with that it will be cumbersome. But I think to simplify the process, I think that one of the things that we all need to envision is that the future of this subject is going to be dependent on diversion. So landfills are going to have to come up with a philosophy that's going to allow us to maximize the recycling of all the materials that are going in. And I hope our consultant makes recommendations that will address that, not just where we are now, but where we're going to be in 20 years' time. Because it's inevitable that we just can't keep doing what we're doing. And that discussion's been had, but now the economic pressures with the carbon tax and a host of other factors are going to force us into a position where we have to realize it. And I think the report would be incomplete unless we have that vision incorporated in there in some capacity. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Ben.
Sorry, to that point, I mean, as council I'm sure is aware, and it's been perhaps one of the challenges associated with this project as well, is that the changes with the provincial government and recycling that are impending, but feet dragging and some of that stuff that's happened provincially. So it's been hard to kind of target what it means short, medium, and long term for us. But I think, and I 100% agree with what Councillor Wirt is saying, and I guess if that's the vision council shares, the working together opens those doors, but not working together makes it much more difficult. I'll throw that out there.
Councillor Landry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. So if I may just add my view or vision is seen. So the challenges are different between all 6 municipalities. And I believe that right now we went ahead with this study. But I would sooner think that the sooner we get something back so that we can discuss. I don't want to have something too thorough where we're spending all this money and we might just change it all together. So having something back, identifying what each 6 municipalities, what their needs are, what their timelines are. Some are more pressing than others. So I think the sooner we get something to get the discussions going would be great value at this table before we go too far and then just change all aspect of the direction or the vision that this report will give us might not be what each individual municipality. So the sooner we can get something at least to bring in the discussion, because right now until I get something in front of me, I have a very hard time understanding where we should be going or vice versa. So just a comment.
A very good point, Councillor Landry. I think Ben's it's going to get it to us ASAP. Okay. If there's nothing else, you have the motion has been read. There is no motion. Okay, so so I'm just seeing that this is acceptable. Then, is there anybody who is not happy with this time or the communication strategy? Okay, we're good to go. Thank you, Ben. All right, so we'll just finish this up quickly, and then we will take a quick break before closed session. So we're at number 12, which is a motion to reconsider Restricted Acts Lame Duck Bylaw. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Gardner, seconded by Councillor MacDonald, that Council approve that the Restricted Acts Lame Duck Bylaw be reconsidered at the County Council meeting of July 18th, 2022.
Okay, and you have a mover and a seconder for that? Okay. Comments, questions? Do you want to speak to that?
Through you, Madam Warden, you'll recall that I brought this bylaw forward at the April County Council meeting. It was defeated, but I think I got the read of the room that you'd like it to come back closer to nomination day, which is in August. So I'll bring it back before that deadline at the July meeting for reconsideration.
Okay, is that acceptable? All in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much for that. No petitions, miscellaneous business. If you can please read the motion, Madam Clerk.
Sure, I have a motion of support. It's moved by Councillor Jaworski, seconded by Councillor Warden, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry support the resolution from the municipality of Shania regarding the Community Schools Alliance Action Plan, and that a copy of this resolution of support and the resolution from the municipality of Shania be sent to local SDG municipalities, local MPs and MPPs, the Minister of Education, and the Premier of Ontario.
Thank you for that. Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you. It's hard for me not to make this, it's Shunya, but I know it's Northern Ontario, so there's that Shania link, so I just, but thank you so much. So as I think most are aware, but I'll remind regardless that, you know, the Community Schools Alliance is a local schools advocacy group with membership all across Ontario. And that members of the CSA, they presented at a rural education symposium that we had back in February. And of course, I'm also on the executive of the CSA, the Community Schools Alliance. And so, and Megan, who put this resolution forward, she's also a member on the executive of the Community Schools Alliance, and she's a municipal councillor in Shunya. And so it's just sort of coincidence that it's coming from Shunya, because we will be doing one at South Glengarry, hopefully passing that this evening. But since it's here, I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity and hopefully get support from County Council to these resolutions that are being put forward by the CSA. And so I'll try to be quick, but I also want to share some information at the same time because I think it's important for everyone to understand a bit of the context. So the 3 points that the CSA is suggesting we put forward is first that the province increase the Rural and Northern Education Fund, which is the RNEF, to $50 million. So the RNEF was something that was introduced in 2017, and it was $20 million of additional funding that was supposed to be used to support northern and rural schools, recognizing some of the challenges that they have, you know, such as helping to support improving programming, technology, you know, late bus transportation, that sort of thing. And so currently that fund is at $21.8 million for all of Ontario. There are 1,182 rural and northern schools that are identified across Ontario who can take part in this funding. So if you do the quick math, that works out to about $18,000 per school. So that, as you can imagine, it's nice, it's glad to have the funding, but it's not a huge amount of funding, right, when you do the math. So the CSA is, you know, suggesting that we request it be moved to $50 million. So a little bit more than double to have just a stronger impact on rural schools. The list of RENF schools is online. I did check that I can't say I checked every single school in SDG is on that list in terms of the rural schools, but I'm pretty sure they all are. But certainly I encourage anyone to take a look at that list and double check that all our rural schools are in fact on that list and eligible to receive that funding. So that's point one, increasing the RENF to $50 million. The second one has to do with, there is still a moratorium on school closures right now. And the feeling is that this is going to be lifted. And so the CSA is suggesting that we put forward this request saying that if the government does lift that moratorium, that they don't lift it on schools that are on the RENF list, so that those schools would be protected. And until a review of the education funding formula is done, because, you know, it's one size fits all across Ontario, and it really doesn't meet the needs of rural schools. And when these moratoriums are lifted, it's typically rural schools that are impacted. So if we're requesting that they not touch. Sorry, I don't know how I did that. And then last but not least, and this is probably more for kind of process nerds, is that when they put out the 2018 pupil accommodation review guidelines, so that's a euphemism for the school closure process guidelines, that it's not complete. There were 2 templates that were supposed to be completed. It has to do with, the economic value of a school to a community. And so we're requesting that when those templates are worked on, that the province engage, different advocacy community groups, school boards, to ensure that those templates are, in fact, we're going to accomplish what they're designed to do. So those are the 3 points. So I'm hoping that County Council will see fit to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jaworski. Well explained. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes, go ahead, Tim.
We haven't heard word. We probably won't hear till August, but we have requested a delegation with the Minister of Education, whomever that may be, to talk about these issues as well as the moratorium. So we'll see if we get a delegation. That'll probably be the 6th or 7th that we've done. But anyway, thank you.
Hopefully we will. Anything else? Okay, you've heard the motion. All in favor of the motion? Carried, none opposed. Thank you very much for that. So we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we will go to our in-camera session. Thank you. So that means 10 Okay, thank you, everybody. I almost had to pick that up again. Just before we're going to be going into closed session in a second, I just wanted to mention to everyone that I won't be here at the next county council meeting because I'll be on vacation in Newfoundland, and Councillor Armstrong has kindly offered to chair the meeting. So I just wanted to let you know that. So we'll move into closed session. Madam Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor McDonald, that council proceed in camera pursuant to Section 239 2B of the Municipal Act 2001. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, human resources matters.
Okay, thank you very much. All in favor of the motion? Did you just give me a thumbs up? Yes, you did? Okay, yes, rise and reconvene, please.
It's moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Laundrie, that council rise and reconvene without reporting.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion? Carried. And the ratification bylaw, please. Oh, then we close the meeting? Ah, okay. So I guess we're going to stay on. You'll go round everyone up? Okay, so the staff awards are happening here at 11:30. 11:30 sharp, then lunch down in the courtyard. Okay? And we'll adjourn the meeting after the staff awards. I think we're good to go for the staff awards. Mike, we're on? Okay, we're live. Okay. Do you want to come up then, Tim? Welcome, everybody, staff and councillors. It is with a great pleasure that I'm here today participating in staff awards. This event happens every year. It's an important part of what the county does to recognize its employees. You're the backbone of the organization. You do all of the heavy lifting. And we all want you to know that your work does not go unnoticed. And we are greatly appreciated of the effort. It's well known across the region that the counties has top staff in all of its key positions. You all do incredible work, and we are very grateful for that. The last 2 years have been done virtually, so it is really nice to actually be able to see people's faces and see their smiles, and so we're happy to be here to make 3 awards, which is in the area of Service Recognition Awards, Long Service Awards, and Retirement Presentations. So given that, I will welcome CEO Tim to the microphone.
Great. Thank you, Warden Williams, and welcome everybody this morning to this ceremony. As you said, we do it every year. It's a great ceremony, and we've done it last 2 years virtual, so it's great to see everybody here in person. So there's 3 legs of our ceremony this morning. We'll do the staff awards first, followed by the long service awards, and then we'll finish up with the retirement awards. So what I'd like to do before we do the formal staff awards, I'd like to call Carolyn McCullough up and Rebecca Russell. We're going off script here for something. Rebecca is going to talk a little bit about, for a sec, about an award that Carolyn just got, so we can recognize her.
I just wanted to take an opportunity to recognize an academic achievement. I'm very pleased to announce that Carolyn McCullough, our very own payroll and benefits coordinator, has achieved the highest cumulative average for the past year upon completing the 4 units of the municipal law program. As a result, she's received this year's AMCTO's Award of Excellence in Municipal Law. The award was presented on June 14th, 2022 at the awards gala dinner as part of the AMCTO 2022 conference. Congratulations, Carolyn, on your hard work and dedication. It's a great accomplishment. I'm proud to have you on our team.
Okay, so we'll get into the Service Recognition Awards. I'd like to call up Todd Lyhu and Kimberly Castleman. So we'll do the Customer Service Award. Todd, come on down. Welcome. Just so everybody knows, the Customer Service Award recognizes an employee who consistently displays high levels of expertise, enthusiasm, and initiative in dealing with internal and external customers, is proactive in taking action to ensure a customer or client is satisfied before there is a problem, provides a service in which customers or clients express or show a high level of satisfaction, and displays exceptional follow-through in handling of requests and or complaints. So I'll just quickly read the paragraph. Todd was nominated as follows. His dedication to his work is commendable and deserves recognition. Over the past years, he has graciously responded to requests with short turnaround times and after-hours requirements. Todd provides support to numerous county departments as well as external partners, local municipalities, and stakeholders. He takes initiative and tackles requests with an admirable attitude. whether it's developing written or video media materials, ensuring key messages are shared or provided support for corporate events. Todd's positivity and collaborative nature play a crucial role in the project's success. Kimberly, you want to say anything about Todd? You don't have to. Come on ahead.
Thank you. Todd, I just want to say how great it is to work with you. You deal not only with corporate services and council, but all of the corporation and our local municipalities too. And you're just such a joy and pleasure to work with. You come to work every day with a great attitude. You get the job done. You can be counted on always. So thank you. This is very well deserved.
Congratulations. I'm going to say something, just a quick word, because earlier in the meeting I was saying that my life went from 0 to 100 with events to attend, and I have to tell you that Todd has saved my life on I don't know how many occasions, writing me up some very appropriate words to say at various events like D-Day and the Queen's Jubilee, doing the background sort of research so that I actually had something intelligent to say. So thank you very much, Todd.
Thanks, Karina. Congrats, Todd. Okay, our next award is Innovation, Sustainability, and Leadership, the second of 3. So I'll just tell you a wee bit about what this award is about. It recognizes employees who display outstanding creativity and or innovation, volunteers their time for the benefit of the community while portraying a positive image of our county, demonstrates superior leadership or mentoring skills with fellow employees, or has provided a suggestion that results in increased productivity, reduced expenses, increased revenues, or improved services. So our winner this year is Barry Gray, who's the patrol supervisor in Winchester Springs. I'll just read Barry's. I condensed it because the nomination was about 3 pages long, and I really didn't think you wanted to hear me read 3 pages, so I've condensed it into 3 short paragraphs. On a daily basis, residents and visitors to our county rely on the staff within the county's operations division to keep our roads safe and passable. To achieve this goal, our frontline staff perform a multitude of activities, including but not limited to plowing, mowing roadsides, grading shoulders, changing culverts, installing, fixing signs, trimming vegetation, removing trees, patching potholes, etc., etc. Barry's nomination for the Innovation, Sustainability, and Leadership Award is an attempt to recognize the cold patching door his Winchester Springs Patrol recently constructed and implemented to increase efficiency and productivity and to improve worker health and safety by reducing potential injuries to the staff tasked with this very physical maintenance activity. I'm sure you've seen guys out doing cold patching. It's a labor-intensive process. Barry's nomination, sorry, I just read that. The new way of doing things is both innovative and sustainable, but greatly reduces the chance for acute or chronic injuries to staff engaged in cold patching activities. So, Barry, without further ado, come on ahead. And Ben.
I'll be brief. Somehow Barry made cold patching sexy, which is, I think, should be an award in itself. No, in all honesty, I really enjoy working with Barry. He's always thinking outside the box, and you know, he's got the right mindset in terms of trying to make sure we're doing things right. We're doing things as cost effectively for the taxpayers as possible, not wasting time and effort. And this is just an example of one of those initiatives that achieves that, but also has a greater goal of making something that's a pain in the butt much safer for the guys, and certainly much more, I think, from a long-term perspective, is going to be really, really helpful. And one thing that I should mention is it's what Barry has done, we're going to implement it, or we're looking to implement it across all of our patrols. So just a testament to how efficient and successful it was. So congratulations, Barry.
Thank you. Congrats. There you go. Oh, you won George Street. Wow. That won't get you very far. Okay. So our third and final staff award is called the Safety Smart Award, and the winner this year is Colleen Bissonnette from our Transportation Department, GIS Division. I'm looking for Colleen. Hi there. Hi. I'll just read a wee bit about it before we get her up here. So this award recognizes employees who consistently exhibit safe work practices, identify and report potential hazards which could affect an employee or a group of employees, or regularly goes above and beyond the expected safety standards. So Colleen's nomination was as follows. Throughout the COVID-19 response, the county had to pivot numerous times to meet health guidelines to ensure that health and safety of our staff and to meet government regulations. Colleen worked diligently on developing an online option for staff to submit their health screening information and developed a dashboard to assist supervisors in tracking staff. I know she did because we had to do it every day we came in here, and I had to look at the dashboard to make sure that everybody did it, which they did. Colleen also extended the service out to 2 local municipalities. Her attention to detail and quick turnaround times were a key element in making this tool a success. So come on ahead, Colleen, and get recognized.
Colleen, I really enjoy working with Colleen as well. She's a great resource for this organization and all the local municipalities. So, you know, this kind of fell under the Safety Smart Award, but to be honest, like the cool stuff she's doing on a daily basis, she could probably, you know, find an award in every category. So congratulations, well deserved, and we'll see her here next year in a different category, right? All right, so that concludes the 3 service awards. Now we will do the long service presentations, and Ben, stay up here, you're first. We have 3 employees in the Transportation Services Department that are getting awards. We have Darren Greer, 20 years. We have Dale Hamilton, 35 years. And we have Harry Gore, 35 years. So Ben, do you want to do the... Come on up. I'm going to ask Ben to read, we got a short bio on each individual, so I'll get Ben to read through those, and you get to know these guys a little bit better. I'll start with Darren, who unfortunately is not here today. He's probably cold patching, keeping his back. Darren began his career in 2002 as a seasonal employee and became a full-time employee in 2003. Through his 20 years of service within the Winchester Springs Patrol, he has been known as a competent and steady hand at the shop. Darren is good on the equipment he operates and takes pride in his plow, and he drives the Rhinestone Plowboy, in case anybody's interested. Don't tell his wife, but he's a pretty good sweeper too. On our sweeper truck. Across the patrols, Darren is known for his laid-back and easygoing demeanor, and he gets along well with all his colleagues. Most of all, Darren is a proud dad and enjoys time with his family, camping, and Harley-Davidson motorcycles. So on behalf of our department, congratulations, Darren. And I'm going to start with Dale, 35 years. As one of the few employees who has worked in almost every position within our patrols, Dale is the epitome of dedication and progressive growth within our department. In 1986, Dale started as a laborer in Winchester Springs, soon advancing into a plow operator position. As a plow operator, Dale grasped the great responsibility these staff members have to keep roads safe and demonstrated both a pride and professionalism in all the work he did. In 2009, Dale advanced into the grader operator position, again showing he had the capability and capacity to successfully complete road maintenance tasks in different equipment and under challenging conditions. In July 2014, Dale was promoted from grader operator to lead hand. As a lead hand, Dale effectively motivated the staff within the Green Valley shop, enjoying the responsibility and leadership this position afforded him. As a result of his demonstrated leadership skills, competence, professionalism, ability to deal with the public, and his continued dedication to our organization, in 2018, Dale was promoted to the Green Valley Patrol Supervisor, where he continues to develop, adapt, and grow within this role. Through his 35 years, Dale has served the residents of SDG and particularly the Green Valley Patrol with great distinction. Dale has never taken his various roles granted and has always showed up ready to work and do what is necessary to advance our organization. It has been an honor to work with Dale in my time here, and I wish him the best in his 35-year anniversary. So congratulations. What's that? Yeah, no more Omers. Good for him. Similarly, Harry Gores. You guys didn't start the same day, did you? Pretty close. 35 years for Harry. Harry began his career at the counties at the Winchester Springs Patrol, so actually same patrol for both of you gentlemen the first year. Ultimately landing in St. Andrews West, where he continues today. Harry has been described by his supervisors as a dependable and loyal staff member, someone who is always ready and willing to take on extra duties and get the job done. Harry takes his work very seriously and cares about doing things right. He is often the first staff member to arrive at the shop, coffee in hand. Through his years, Harry has demonstrated a competence and pride in his work, with well-deserved recognition coming when he won the Safety Smart Award, thanks to his efforts in correcting signage issues throughout the patrol. In 2013, Harry elected to work winter night shifts, which is of great benefit to our organization as it provides our residents with night plowing coverage by one of our most experienced, actually probably our most experienced, plow operator. That's a service of immeasurable value to our organization. Outside of his work in the patrol, Harry has been a longtime member of the social committee here at SDG. Congratulations to 35 years of exceptional service, Harry.
Thanks, guys. Okay, we're going to move into long service presentations for the library services. Karen, please come forward. And we're recognizing Linda Prier this year, and she's got 25 years of service. So Linda, come on up.
Linda has certainly made her mark on the SDG Library, and in particular, Ingleside Branch, over the last 25 years. She has been called an elf, a Valentine, a barista, a heroine, and a welcome set of ears by patrons and visitors of all ages. It has been documented that she plays an important role in many lives, and that she opens the door a little wider, making the library a pleasant experience. It has also been said that Linda has given residents of South Stormont the opportunity to reconnect with that inner child, to reignite the sparkle that may have been misplaced during Christmas season. It would be hard to compete with Linda in customer service, especially because she is always looking to make community connections in everything she does, such as maintaining one of our Little Free Library locations in Newington, offering homebound delivery service, promoting local authors, and encouraging aspiring authors, or aspiring writers. I am honored to represent the library in recognizing your 25 years of service. Linda, congratulations. Linda?
I gave it to her. Oh, you got more. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to financial services, the court division. Rebecca, come on up. And I'd ask Rita Pilon to come forward to recognize for 15 years of service to the county. Oh, Rita's not here, right? Okay, Rebecca's going to pinch it for her.
Oh, Okay, although Rita's not here, I wanted to say a few words. I know she'll be watching this later. Rita has been the collections officer in court services since 2007, collecting unpaid fines, assisting defendants with payment arrangements, and with extensions. She provides collections for the Transportation Department as well, collecting for roads damages, invoicing insurance companies, and going above and beyond to collect any money that's outstanding. She also provides much needed assistance in court services in other areas, such as assisting the public, entering information into CAMs, following up defendants' inquiries. Being short-staffed, Rita has definitely gone above and beyond to help where she can. Rita is dedicated to her job and to SDG. She has a strong work ethic and is compassionate with defendants who have the highest respect for her. Recently, when speaking to a staff member at the other court, I was asked, "Who is Rita Pilon?" And I'm always hearing, "Go talk to Rita at POA, she'll help you." This is because Rita connects with people, and she connects to those around her, and her name is widely known as that of someone who is always there to assist while having a natural ability in getting people to pay their fines. So congratulations, Rita, of 15 years of service.
Okay. Great. That concludes the long service awards. The last leg of our presentation today is our retirements, and I'd ask Ben DeHaan to come up, please. Ben, we're going to recognize Peter Lyonar, who's retired on May 4th after 11 years of service. So Peter, come on up, please.
Here we go. So Peter, he is the county's weed inspector. As is obvious when I say it, Peter has the most interesting job title in our organization. In his 11 years of service, Peter has never been accused of blowing smoke when dealing with residents. Rather, he has proven himself to be a competent and capable employee who has been able to resolve weed complaint issues with ease. Through his time with us, Peter made Helen and my life very easy. He was a tactful and independent worker who always dealt with the public in a positive and friendly manner. Peter cared about the county and the work he did. He was proactive in his approach with the county and local municipalities. He was enthusiastic about professional development and willing to share successes and lessons learned with our council and other neighboring municipalities in order to improve weed management within our region. Although Peter is retiring, his professionalism and dedication is best shown in the fact that he remains willing to help out SDG as we transition to a new weed inspector in the upcoming months. His mentorship will ensure that the bar he has set will be carried on. As a final thought, I remember being on the hiring committee when Peter was brought on and recall having confidence that we made the right choice. That confidence was 100% correct. It has been my absolute pleasure to work with Peter over the past 11 years, and on behalf of SDG, I wish him the absolute best in his well-deserved retirement.
Okay, I'll ask, that concludes the formal ceremony. I'll turn the floor back to Warden Williams for some concluding remarks, and don't forget, lunch is served for everybody in the building, council, everybody's here downstairs in the courtroom, courtyard.
You stole my closing remarks. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Congratulations, everyone, once again. And it's an opportunity for you to network with your fellow councillors downstairs. So hope to see you there for lunch. Thanks again. Okay, well, just wait, it's noisy. Okay, thank you, everybody. We're just going to adjourn the meeting. Madam Clerk.
This is the ratification bylaw. It's moved by Councillor Landry, seconded by Councillor Smith, that bylaw number 5362, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
All in favor of the motion? Carried, thank you. And adjournment by resolution.
It's moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Landry, that council adjourn to the call of the chair.
All in favor of the motion? Carried. Thank you very much, everybody, and see you at lunch.